This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host, Mike Parkin, and joining me this evening are Richard Hawes.
Hello, everyone.
And Amanda Robertson.
Hi.
Unfortunately, Steve has been called away at the last minute, but he'll be back on the next episode, I'm sure. This week, we have 4 main reviews to discuss. We're going to kick off with the indie sci-fi movie REDUX REDUX. Then we have a serial killer thriller kind of thing with Shawn Ashmore called The Huntsman. Then we got a western called Bury 'Em Deep. And we're going to wind up with the latest film from Joe Begos called Jimmy and Stiggs. Our short shot is Dr. B's Forever. And then we're going to be joined by Will Bentley to talk about The Rip, one of the latest films to hit Netflix. And our DTV throwback is Louis Mandylor and Michael Paré in Battle Drone. So, without further ado, let's crack on. Our first review then is REDUX REDUX. Irene Kelly travels through parallel universes, repeatedly killing her daughter's murderer. As she becomes consumed by vengeance, her humanity hangs in the balance. Not so sure about that last bit, but certainly on board with the rest of that, taken from IMDb. Now, all 3 of us, guys, first saw this at various film festivals last year. Me and Rich saw it at Mayhem. I believe you saw it somewhere as well.
Yeah, it was at Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah, cool. We were totally blown away by this. It was the best film of our festival, and there were some good films on at that festival. It just sort of kind of came out of nowhere, this one. It is just such a neat little package in what it does, in how it gives you the barest of exposition to keep it going, and it just throws you in the deep end right at the beginning. It's quite a visceral film as well. It doesn't hold back on the blood squibs and things like that. It was just great for me. So Amanda, what did you make of REDUX REDUX?
Yeah, I loved this one too. I was surprised at how angry it was, and how upfront the violence was, especially right from the start. She's straight in there. You're obviously a bit further into your journey rather than the beginning, but I also love the way it uses its sci-fi elements. I mean, obviously it's probably down to budget, but it keeps it minimal and simple. It doesn't overtake the story. It's enough. And I really liked the 2 actresses. They worked really well together, which is weird because their characters are sort of the same. You'd be expecting a kind of opposites attracting, but no, they're both very unhappy and really let down by the world. But it's nice to see that they find some hope in the end, especially in each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but no, I loved it. I thought it took such a sad and violent story and just did a really good job of making it into something kind of a bit powerful and more hopeful, which is hard to do.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as the how upfront it is with the story. I was 100% convinced that the first thing we see was in media res, and we're going to go back to that point later on in the film, and it kind of does, but it plays with your expectations. It says, oh, you think this is where you are, we're not, we're in a completely different place now, and I thought that worked really, really well. The first sort of 10-15 minutes of this film are at a breakneck pace. The whole car chase and everything, leading up to the discovery of what's in her a motel room. It's like, what on earth? It's kind of like watching The Hidden and just being
Yeah.
hit all the way through, and then suddenly like there's an alien. I mean that's the hidden, not this. But yeah, it's really, really a tour de force at the beginning of this film, and it doesn't really let up, even when it gets into the drama. The relationships. Everything's moving all the time. I thought it was great. Rich, over to you. What did you make of Redux Redux? I know what you made of it. Tell everyone else what you made of it.
Yeah, I loved it. I'd say this was my favorite film at the festival. I just went in completely blind. The title, means nothing. It doesn't really tell you anything. And I went in completely blind, and it's just gripping from the start. It sets up something, this thing that happens, and then something very almost the same happens, and you're like, hang on a minute, how can those two things relate to each other? And it sort of runs along it keeps you hanging on for a bit. There's usually like the rule is usually like 30 minutes. Like the big sort of turning point in a story will usually happen around 30 minutes. In this one, they actually only keep you hanging on for about 20 minutes, and then you get some exposition starting to sort of explain, what the scenario is, what's happening here. And I think the whole look of the film and the sort of the synthy music, it's not all synthy, but there are some synthy elements to it, is really great. So it's cinematography, the music, and the film is directed by the McManus brothers, and the lead actress is their sister Michaela. So it's a very much a family affair. We've got Jim Cummings in there, indie World War kind of guy. So he's not in it a lot, but he's got a couple of really good scenes, very important scenes with Irene's character, with Irene. Michaela McManus is great as Irene. We don't learn until really far on in the story just how down the rabbit hole essentially she's gone, and why she's this very sort of cynical, jaded sort of character. There's a Groundhog Day sort of element to the story. You're sort of a key opponent, but it's not Groundhog Day like we might think of it. So without giving it away, there are other reasons for what's happening, and it's and you get sort of different permutations and of events, and it never gets boring. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. There's some good twists. They add in the drama, the whole surrogate child sort of storyline comes in to sort of humanize the protagonist, who's essentially someone who's lost her humanity. She's just been driven by revenge, and and then it sort of builds to a very a great climax. The whole film from beginning to end is just pretty much perfect, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is up there with things like what's the James Belushi time travel one?
Oh, retroactive.
Retroactive, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It's definitely up there with that.
Because that's doing similar things. That is very much a Groundhog Day kind of thing. But there's it's one of those sci-fi movies where the sci-fi it's sort of more of a real world sort of relatable kind of thing. It's more like Pi, something like I think, or was it Pi or was it Primer? Primer is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
It's more like Primer, but with a bit more of a big budget. Not a great big budget, but it's a slick looking film.
It is,
and it's kind of playing with the same idea. If we've got this MacGuffin, this device, but we're not going to dwell on that too much, and we're not going to make it. It's very much a relatable scenario, circumstance. It's the world we recognize. It's not going anywhere crazy or whatever. So it's as a device and stuff. It sort of it's a very downplayed sci-fi, but very you could have gone down.
Absolutely.
You could have gone down, like the Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger-ish kind of route or whatever, but it doesn't do anything like that. But although there was a bit in it that did remind me of that. But yeah, great movie, fantastic movie.
Absolutely. And how are we going to score it, Amanda?
I'm going to give it an 8.
And Rich?
It's a 9 for me.
Funny enough, later in the show, me and Will are going to get into this about scoring 8s and 9s. But yeah, this for me, despite what I say later on, is a 9. So 2 9s and an 8 for Redux Redux. We cannot. What's the word I'm looking for? We cannot stress this enough. Go see this film. It is really, really good. The only downside here is it's only available on streaming services to rent. There's no physical release, unfortunately, at the moment at least. But considering Saban Films and Blue Finch are involved, you know, fingers crossed they will eventually think about putting out a Blu-ray for this. But anyway, in the meantime, go check it out. Our next review is The Huntsman. When an ICU nurse volunteers to help a coma patient accused of murdering 6 women, he's drawn into a chilling web of lies, obsession, and deadly secrets as a detective races to stop the killer. Interesting one, this, guys. I don't know. It's got a weird pace to it and some weird characters. But we've got Shawn Ashmore playing the ICU nurse, who's kind of volunteered, put himself forward to assist this guy. He's in a coma, but he keeps talking to him and things like this and having these conversations. And eventually the guy wakes up and, he's allowed to go home, but they bring Shawn Ashmore's character with them because, they're impressed with the level of care he was providing. So he becomes like a private nurse for him. But then, it turns out he's got his own sort of motives for wanting to be close to this guy as well. Then we have the cops who are involved with actually trying to figure out if this guy is the murderer or not. And yeah, there's lots going on in the background. Amanda, what did you make of The Huntsman?
I quite like the way that it explores how people let their first impression shape how they view everything.
Yeah.
And like individual bias. The acting was great. I thought they were all great. Particularly Garrett Dillahunt. He's got like a really weird vibe in this. And he does a lot with very little. Sometimes he just makes a movement and it does like a billion things. I think my main issue with it though is it does a little bit too much telling and not enough showing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversations and it kind of wears a little bit thin. I think it needed a bit more something else rather than them just sitting there telling you what it is. But it does stick the landing in the end, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, not perfect. It could have done a little bit more, but it's still a pretty good watch.
It seems to be on like a constant cycle in the middle section, isn't it? It's like, oh, here come the cops again to arrest Lincoln because they think he did something, and then find out that no, he couldn't have done it because he was elsewhere or something, so they let him go and then they've got to bring him back. It seems to be constant sort of cycle of sort of bringing these people in and not getting anywhere. And it's only one, I think it's one mentioned towards the end where Shawn Ashmore's character Max, he hears something which somebody put him in the frame as a potential suspect, and he had assumed it was Lincoln, but he gets told maybe it's somebody else, and everything starts falling into place. So yeah, I did like the beginning and I liked the end, but the middle bit it just sort of it felt like it was spinning its wheels a bit.
It just sort of like kept going but didn't actually do anything.
Yeah, a bit like there's a film we covered a couple of episodes ago. I've forgotten what it's called now. I'll fill this in later. Never mind. I'll delete it. Anyway, how are you going to score it, Amanda?
I'll probably give it a 6. I quite enjoyed it. Again, it just needed to go a little bit deeper. Just push it a little further.
I agree. And I think the motives at the end were a bit weird as well, for what everything had been going on. But there you go. There you have it. 2 6s for The Huntsman. Go check it out. Our next film is Bury 'Em Deep. A violent gunslinger sees visions of hell and decides that in order to redeem himself, he'll give his ill-gotten loot to save a beautiful nun's orphanage. But when he is ambushed and left for dead, he sets out on a trail of vengeance. Rich, we've covered a couple of Robert Bronzi films in the past, I believe. He's an actor. He's a Hungarian actor who's basically he's managed to sort of dig out a film career based on the fact that he looks a bit like Charles Bronson if you squint hard enough.
Oh, he looks a lot like Charles Bronson. Let's be honest. He doesn't sound like him, but he does look like him. So in some previous films, what they dubbed him, and I'm curious to know in this one because I haven't seen it. Is he dubbed, or do they keep silent, or
yeah, he kept him, with an accent for this one.
Right. Does he get many lines though?
A good handful, yeah. Yeah, he has a few conversations in the film.
Right, because he's getting. I mean, he's made quite a few films by now, including several westerns, which was obviously a genre that Bronson was
and
connected to.
Mm-hmm. And also sort of the Death Wish
maybe he's getting better as an actor, is what I'm wondering.
No, well, I couldn't tell you that he is or not. What I can tell you is the film as a whole is a lot better than some of his other films. There was more effort put into this, production-wise. It does feel like a proper sort of spaghetti western at the very least. Mm-hmm. There's some really interesting touches to it. There's some very dark humor, especially with these two little kids who probably don't understand what they're actually doing as real consequences, but it is quite amusing. Little details with the guns and things like that. They're not modern revolvers. There's more effort put there. Overall, I thought this was okay. What about yourself, Amanda?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Not a scrappy little western. It does take its time.
Yeah.
But when you do get to like the good stuff, which is the shootouts, they're really good. They're really well done. And I mean, it is obviously very low budget, but it looks quite nice. Generally, the acting was okay. I really liked the actress playing the nun.
Yeah,
I thought she was really warm and strong and compassionate. I haven't actually ever seen Robert Bronzi in anything, so it took me a minute to get past the obvious. But I actually quite liked him. He did a good job of kind of being torn between giving into violence and hoping to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Which was nice, but it's actually a pretty good time.
I was surprised, I must admit. And Michael Paré, we have to say, he actually immersed himself into the role. I in fact didn't recognize him for a good chunk of the film. He's playing the sheriff in this one. And he was actually really good. There's a whole weird thing with a traveling sideshow thing, which is linked to Annie Oakley, but it's another sort of female sharpshooter who gets sort of caught up in everything as well. There's some sort of nasty moments with when she's around.
Yeah, there's a lot of like other characters getting caught.
Yeah, basically.
It's a little hard to keep up with them at times, but yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, there's a line, there's a bit in Blazing Saddles when Gene Wilder is telling the sheriff, I can't remember his name, why he stopped being a gunslinger, and it was the moment he was walking down the street and somebody yelled out, "Hey, mister, go for your gun," and he turns around, it's a little kid. And he's like, "Damn it!" And then he walked off, and then he goes, "That bastard shot me in the ass," or something. And it's like, more or less, that story happens in the film.
Yeah,
which I thought was great, and it almost comes back at the end as well. And it was very, very amusing, and quite dark, a very Brackley comic. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. For what it was. It's not. I mean, Robert Bronzi, he's got he's got an accent in this one, so his dialogue is a bit garbled at times. Luckily, I tend to watch films with subtitles on, regardless if they're in English or not, because my hearing's not 100%. So having subtitles on when he's speaking is a boon. But yeah, this was a pleasant surprise overall. And how are you going to score it, Amanda?
Before
Sorry,
you
Rich.
guys get
Yeah.
before you get onto the scoring, I just wondered. I was just looking up the director, Michael Fredianelli, and he's directed over 60 movies.
Wow.
I presume he sort of works in the sort of micro budget, sort of very, very low budget realm. He seems to be able to turn out, dozens. And I was just wondering, what's the film like in terms of its production values?
Well, production values are pretty decent. I mean, as I said, for example, the weapons they're using are quite what's the word I'm looking for? They are faithful to the time, basically. So instead of like having like a six-chamber revolver that you just push out, empty the cartridges, reload, these ones you got to sort of pull a lever to open the breech, and then you got to load it. It's almost like a cap and ball system, so it takes them a while to actually sort of load the guns and start shooting again. However, they show that a couple of times, but in between they're shooting about 20 rounds each. There's a whole shootout at the end in a pumpkin patch because the ending happens on Halloween, and they spend a lot of time shooting the pumpkins and not the people, because they can do it in slow-mo and everything. It looks great. The soundtrack wasn't bad. So yeah, they did quite a decent job with the production side of things.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to keep an eye out for the site. It's amazing this guy's got such a huge catalogue of films behind him, and yeah, I've never come across his name.
63 films.
Various bits on Tubi and stuff. I think Wild Dogs Productions seems to be seems to be his company or company he works with very closely. They've done, from what I can see, other period stuff like World War II films, as well as comedies and all sorts. So interesting.
Looks like it.
It's always interesting to come across a new name in or a name that's new to us.
Yeah, so 60 odd films. I mean, I'm just going back to see how long his film career was. Oh, that's his editing.
I think he does like 6 a year.
He must do, because he started in 2008, which is what, 14 years ago?
And he's done like 63 films?
Yeah.
My God.
And this is just as director, because he's also
he's done
loads as an editor, producer, cinematographer. He's done all these different roles. It's pretty astounding amount of work he's done.
Absolutely. Okay, on that note, how are you going to score it, Amanda?
Probably give it a 6.
Right, I'm going to go a 7 on this one. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more. So there you have it, a 6 and a 7 for Bury 'Em Deep. Go check it out. Our final main review is Jimmy and Stiggs. A perfect storm of lousy news sees out-of-work filmmaker Jimmy Lang spiral into a bender, during which he claims to have been abducted by aliens, and fearing their return, he contacts his old friend Stiggs to help him gear up for war. Before we get into the film, Amanda, there were two fake trailers at the start of this. Which had Eli Roth's name attached to them.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you see the trailers?
Did I see the trailers?
For the piano killer.
Oh yeah. I think you know what? I've seen Eli Roth's name and I've went, oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's two fake trailers at the beginning. The first one is brilliant, and it is very much in keeping with the trailers that they did for Grindhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. it is, he's got the right sort of look of film quality. He's got the deep gravelly voice guy doing it. It is really, really funny as well. I have to admit, it did make me laugh because it came out of nowhere. I didn't know what to expect. You can actually see the Piano Killer trailer online. If you go to YouTube, you can find it on its own. So I do recommend people do that. The second one didn't grab me as much. It was called "Don't Go in the House, Bitch."
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah,
it was I think the "Don't Go in the House, Bitch" bit was done by Snoop Dogg as well, which was it had its moments, but yeah, the whole thing "Don't Go in the House, Bitch," I just thought was a bit crass,
yeah,
basically. And then we get to the film itself, and one of the first things you see is Eli Roth's name, executive producing it. And I don't know if he's been involved in any of Joe Begos's other films. I don't think he has. But I can kind of see his influence in this.
yeah,
It is the worst film that Joe Begos has done. I wholly recommend all his other films. He's on a Scanners kind of film called The Mind's Eye, I think it was called. One called Almost Human, about a guy coming back after he'd been abducted by aliens and not being quite there. He did what was that one he did with the robot Santa?
yeah. I don't remember the
Yeah,
name of it. I just remember
yeah.
they break
You've
out in it
probably
and there's
seen
a
him.
robot
Yeah,
sitting up. Yeah,
yeah. The robot Santa one because it was based on a army killjoy or something. Yeah, all really, really good films. And this one, it was like, well, we've got like $10 we found back down the back of the sofa. Let's go and buy as much sex splooge as we can, and just coat the whole apartment with it.
yeah,
And the cheapest looking, grey extraterrestrial dummies we can find. Oh my God. I mean, have you ever watched the series Bottom?
yeah,
That's what this was, except with the language turned up to, 1,000 f-bombs a minute, and as much splooge as you can muster. But it was that sort of, that's what it was. It just sort of devolved into this sort of slapstick for like an hour. I
yeah.
really I hated it.
Yeah.
Well,
It just
going back again, the opening bit, where it's all shot first person, like he's wearing the camera, and he's on the phone to his girlfriend, and she's going to come over and eat and stuff, and all he's doing is just getting fucked out of his head on drugs. I mean, that's not a good start to get me on board with the main character of the film. I'm just looking at this guy going, Jesus Christ, he's just such a loser. You know,
yeah.
um,
There was like the story just got lost in this like weird chaos.
hmm,
It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't think most of it works. That like POV fun thing would probably have been fun if they stuck to one POV, but I
yeah.
don't need the aliens POV as well as his one. I mean, it was I quite liked how colourful it was. Although there was
But
something
yeah,
very like
which is in
rock.
keeping.
Yeah,
The color design is in keeping with Begos's other work.
yeah. It was a
So
little bit kind of Rob Zombie. I don't
yeah,
love Rob Zombie's film work, but
mm.
I haven't seen
he,
him in concert and seen a few of his films. Yeah, I
yeah.
can see it.
But yeah, Joe Begos does look like Rob Zombie as well because he's playing one of the main characters.
Hmm.
Um, and again, the ending, which just dragged forever, it was like they found a strip mall Halloween theme thing and just shot there for the remaining 15 minutes.
Yeah. Also, I don't know what was the point of his friend.
No,
What,
just
he
someone to
could have,
bounce off, I guess.
yeah, he could have just beat up aliens by himself in his house.
Mhm.
That would have been fine. But
It
yeah,
would have,
no, this wasn't for me.
it would have been fine as a short,
Yeah.
but not as a full feature, unfortunately. As I said, I do like a lot of Joe Begos's films. Bliss is the other one I forgot to mention about an artist who is working on this huge painting, but getting just totally strung out on drugs at the same time. That was quite a good one. But his other sort of genre stuff's been great. But this, no, and I'm blaming Eli Roth.
Yes.
Yeah, this is probably the work of two guys down the pub, or getting drunk or getting high and going, what would be really good to do is this sort of shit. And there's a bit in the film as well when they're talking, and he basically tries to make the whole thing meta by going, "Oh, this could be your next movie." Two guys
Yeah.
in an apartment. And I'm like, "Oh, right."
Yeah, it's like it was a simple enough idea. You didn't need to add like 5,000 other ideas. Yeah, sometimes simple works better.
Indeed, yeah. But there you go. So I've got the trailer running in the background at the moment. Apparently, this took 4 years to make. So this is something they've just been sort of dropping in probably every other weekend or something. Just adding to, which kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it. I have to say, this wasn't something they sat down and blocked out 5 weeks of filming to do or anything like that. And films like the Australian zombie movie. My mind's like a sieve at the moment. Trying to remember names of titles. Never mind. But yeah, in that case, how are we going to score it?
I'd probably give it a 5. Fun idea, but it didn't come together.
Yeah, I think I hated it a bit more than you, so I'm giving it a 4. I really did not get on with this. The best thing in it is the trailer for the piano killer, which looks great. I have to admit.
I don't know why I forgot about it. You know what it is? Probably because the rest of it's so chaotic. I just blanked out everything else.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. But there you go. There we have it. A 4 and a 5 for Jimmy and Stiggs. If you're a fan of Joe Begos and or Eli Roth, go check it out. Our short shot this week is Dr. Bees Forever. This features our hero battling a villain who mislabels things. This animated adventure involves a quirky misunderstanding about an apiary and a plot to manipulate dictionary definitions. Expect fast-paced actions, wordplay, and plenty of bees. This is the second Dr. Bees film we've taken a look at, Rich.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was the last. I think Dr. Bees Returns might have been the last one we watched.
Yeah.
I don't think we covered the first one.
No.
But yeah.
Did it have something to do with a picnic or something? I should have checked it out again.
I can't remember. There's so much stuff happening in the Dr. Bees shorts that I can't remember everything. But I've been following animator Harry Partridge's channel for quite a few years now, and it takes him so long to make these films because he's basically almost a one-man band. He's got a few people helping him, but it takes these are more traditional sort of animated shorts, and they do take quite a while to come out. So the last Dr. Bees was 5 years ago, I think now, and so I was pretty excited. I couldn't believe it when it came up. It's just it turned up, and it's like 10 minutes long, so it must have taken a really long time to make. How did you go on with it?
It's weird. It's very weird. No, I mean, I did like it.
You like that Monty Python-ish kind of absurd humor?
Yeah, it did work for me, I must admit. It just weird.
Did or didn't?
No, it did. Yeah, it definitely did.
Yeah.
But it's strange. Amanda, I'm sure this is your first introduction. Your introduction to Dr. Bees. What did you make of
it? It was. I should have watched the other ones to know what was going on. The whole entire the whole thing where they put like the entire evil headquarters on a cake.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. But
smuggled it into prison.
Yeah. But no, I had a good time. I got a few laughs out of it. It feels like one of those things. If I'd seen this in my teens, Like me and my friend, that this would be like our personality. I think everybody's got like a YouTube video that they've watched. I think ours was salad fingers, unfortunately. But no, I think I'll probably have to go back and watch the other ones to maybe get a bit more out of it.
Yeah.
The original Dr. Bees was back in 2013.
So, okay.
Yeah,
missed a few.
Well, no, this is only the third one. That's what I'm saying. He does lots of other bits and pieces, but the first one I think was a lot shorter.
Right. And, okay.
Yeah, he takes his time. Starbarians is his other big project, but he's done I think he's done like 9 videos of that, and yeah, and I think he was like crowdfunding for a comic book, graphic novel, sort of more recently, but yeah, so Dr. Bees has become sort of one of his signature characters, but he's done tons of other stuff. There was another film I'm pretty sure we covered, which was called Ghostbleed Biohorror, which is a parody of Resident Evil games.
All right.
Oh, okay. That's my thing. I'm gonna go seek that out. I want to see that.
That'd be cool. I do like the way he's titled these as well. So the previous one was called Dr. Bees Returns, and now we got Dr. Bees Forever. So are we going to get the Dark Bees at some point?
Dr. Bees and B-Boy, probably, I guess.
Yeah.
The next.
Yeah, Dr. Bees and the Hornet or something. Yeah.
My favourite joke in this was the Clint Howard pinata full of bees. I thought it was great. But the other thing is because say it's got this I love the animation style here, but the sort of humor and everything of it reminds me, and I might have mentioned this before, of an old kids TV show called Round the Bend, where they did these kind of absurd sort of toilet-based jokes and stuff like you've got in this. And I do wonder if that was kind of an influence on Harry Partridge when he was growing up. That because it just I think there's as much of Round the Bend as there is of stuff like Monty Python in here, especially because the Round the Bend stuff was predominantly animated, and Monty Python obviously did a bit of animation with Terry Gilliam, but it was more sort of plays on words and stuff. And I love the play on word stuff here. It's so fast paced, and there's all the absurd stuff, and then you get like these crowd shots of characters, and they'd like fly by in a second, and I was like, if you pause it, I bet you can see loads of jokes in there. It's like a Zaz, Zucker Abraham Zucker kind of.
Oh yeah.
So many jokes in it. It's just so fast paced. Yeah, fantastic. So,
absolutely. It's good fun. And I was, as soon as you suggested it, I was like, yeah, we definitely got to look at that one again.
Into the humor, some people might watch it and just like, no, that's just not for me. But indeed. I think it's got a very particular style. There's a lot of it's very British kind of absurd humor, and yeah, I think, and it's not just sort of slapstick; it's clever. There's a lot of really clever stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we don't score the shorts, but we do recommend you go and check them out, and you'll find a link to this in the footnotes below. Go check it out. Okay, so this is the first of what will hope to be a series of segments where me and Will talk about a film which has gone straight to streaming. This week we're looking at The Rip, starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and directed by Joe Carnahan. This is a film which has gone straight to Netflix. I think the reason for that, Will, is because probably Netflix actually bankrolled this rather than picked up. There's been a whole series of films which are sort of, got this sort of Netflix tag, things like, now I say it, there's been a few like The Empty Man and things like that.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite films. That was so good, actually. Very unsettling.
Oh no, that's the wrong one I'm thinking of.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
that's the supernatural one.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one. I still haven't seen. No.
You need to watch it.
I do need to watch it
because it's really weird. Like I didn't actually know that it was a Netflix bankrolled.
No, that one isn't. No, I was thinking of another one called The Grey Man.
Oh no, yeah.
Grey Man.
I've seen that.
Yeah. Totally different thing altogether. We're off to a great start. Totally mixing my films up. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The Empty Man it's high on my watch list. I just haven't tracked it down yet. But anyway, The Rip stars Matt Damon and Ben Affleck together again. I mean, the lifelong friends, they appeared in loads of stuff together, really. Good Will Hunting being the obvious one, but then things like Dogma as well. There was another one they did with, that was again one of the Kevin Smith ones, where they were sort of doing the Good Will Hunting 2 sketch. Have you seen that one?
No,
I think it's in Jay and Silent Bob's Strikes Back.
Not seen. I actually haven't seen that yet. But like, I know that wasn't Matt Damon. Didn't he play like? He was in Mallrats.
Yeah,
am I mistaken?
No. That was Ben Affleck. Was in Mallrats.
Yeah. Sorry, got it wrong. Yeah, Ben Affleck. He played the
really
sales
douchebaggy car salesman guy.
He was a manager for Fashionable Mail or something.
Something like that.
The shop for Fashionable Mail, and he played. Yeah, and he was just like sort of horrifically smug. Like, I mean, this is a weird one because this, like, I'm not. They are both like extremely talented actors, at what they do, and I think they've also produced a fair amount of stuff as well, if I'm not wrong. But the characters that they've like played in a lot of the films that I've seen, like, really were that they were quite sort of they weren't the nicest people. Like in Good Will Hunting, he was sort of, the whole thing was about Matt Damon's character being sort of like redeemed from being sort of chaotic and stuff like that, and Ben Affleck's character was kind of okay, but like there's sort of, I don't know, they weren't really my favorite kind of presence on screen, and this film from I like the way they've matured and the way that they just in terms of like acting, I think this is better than anything else they've done.
It's interesting because I look at Matt Damon and other than the what's that, Team America World Police or whatever it's called, the bit with Matt Damon sort of thing. I tend to think of it in terms of like the Bourne Identity films, and even the Ocean's 11 and all that, because he was part of that. So for me, he's more of a protagonist, sort of heroic sort of protagonist sort of character, someone you're rooting for. And then you get this, and right from the off, you're like, I don't know if we can trust this guy. Straight away. It does make you feel really uneasy. It's like, but he plays the heroes,
and I mean, exactly. It's like it really is quite odd. It's quite incongruous, and I think that's the thing. It's like, in a market kind of saturated with slick sort of heroes, I think the both of them sort of really, I don't know. I found them in a lot of their films just too goody, and too sort of like not a lot of depth to the characters that they were portraying and stuff, and they're kind of, I suppose I was probably just a bit kind of cynical. It's probably more to do. It was me. It wasn't them. And like watching The Rip and seeing like I said, the standard of acting and the kind of depth of these kind of very complex characters that they were portraying, especially Matt Damon, like fitting all of everything that he did into such a short, medium, like, because it wasn't a hugely long film. How long was it actually?
I'm just checking now. 1 hour 53. So just short of 2 hours, which is sort of typical for an action movie.
Yeah, but it was like he managed to, by the end of it, you felt like you knew, certainly for him, as much of what was going on and driving him as you would if he'd had like a mini series to to build it up. That I felt that like there was some, it was incredible actually, like, especially because I mean what he actually did and what he portrayed in that film was kind of so complex and kept you guessing until like, you know, sort of right. You know, it's one of them films that are yet again can't really talk about it because you don't want to, you know, really don't want to sort of, you know, wreck the viewing experience for people. But from my point of view, I just felt that that they've got so much. They were so much better in this than they have been in like many things that they've been in before.
Yeah, it's it gets to a point in the story. I think they timed it just right, where you get to the point where they have to let you in on the secret.
Yeah.
You know, they have to let you understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Because there's so many pieces, you know, it's like, well, here's the missing piece that you need
Yeah.
to fill it in, which I thought was great. So the, you know, the basic synopsis of this is that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are part of this tactical unit who their job is to shut down cash houses that sort of drug gangs are using, you know, and they have a tip-off line. Somebody phones in the tip-off saying, you know, some gangs using this particular house to store drugs or cash, you know.
Not it was cash, yeah, they're looking for the cash.
Yeah, so mainly cash. And they do it's not exactly off the books, but it's, you know, it's at the end of the day sort of thing, you know, last thing they're going to do, and it's, you know, don't worry, we'll fill in the paperwork later kind of deal. Already you're sort of going so they get there and they find, you know, instead of saying, I don't know, I think they're expecting 150K, but they end up finding like $3 million, I think, on
no,
site.
it was more.
It was more than that.
Like, yeah, it was like
10 million 20
million.
Yeah.
And like in a very kind of frightened sort of girl on her own in this house with like a sort of ambiguous story about what she's doing there and stuff like that. But immediately the kind of mistrust starts building, doesn't it? With you know, you sort of thinking, but I mean, there's stuff that's happened before it because like the captain.
The captain gets So yeah, she gets killed by mysterious masked people at the beginning. Then they get sort of drugged over the hot coals by the FBI, who happens to be Ben Affleck's brother in the film, and he's played by Scott Adkins, which is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh my god, he was.
Yeah. Well, because he's not kicking anyone, so you probably didn't recognize him. But he's
sat in a suit, being like the typical kind of FBI coming in, treading on everyone's toes, kind of.
Exactly, stuffed shirt, pencil pushing, FBI agent. Yeah, with a sort of, you know, on his high horse, basically. is the way it plays. But yeah, it was great having him in something of this caliber for sure. And then the main member of the team is played by Stephen Yen, who's in The Walking Dead and other things. And he seems to be the film's sort of moral compass, doesn't he? You know, the way he's portrayed, it's like he's the one questioning everything. It's going, but this isn't procedure. This is what, you know, we're not supposed to be doing it like this kind of thing. Whereas Ben Affleck's kind of rolling with it a bit because Matt Damon's his sort of, you know, superior officer,
and his fuzzy mate. They've known each other,
and the you know, the mates basically. So we have this setup, and it becomes quite sort of Machiavellian in a way. In that you don't know who to trust. You know, you think you know who you should be trusting. But
it changes. It's so fluid throughout. As well, you know, like because it's. I mean, really, the action sequences aside, and they are like, I mean, they kind of come out of nowhere, and they are like they are kind of really sort of, oh bloody hell, you know, it's really kicking off, you know, and it's, you know, there's this sort of the shootout when it comes is like quite astonishing, like what happens and like how it goes down. But I mean, it actually takes a while to get there because, you know, there's a lot of building up. Well, you know, we're exposed, something bad's going to happen, and a lot of conjecture about exactly what it is and who it is leading up to it, and so that, you know, when it does sort of kick off, it's like it's confusing as hell, and you know, and also it's like, you know, the thing that got me about this film was like that all that sort of stuff to these cops was just so normal. it was, you know, it was like, this is going to happen. Oh, it's happening. And this is just like, this is like every day, you know, this is like what they sort of train for and what they sort of do. But aside from the action, like the action sequences, when it actually does kick off, or when people's, you know, when people start like having physically confronting each other and stuff, it is very much like it's going on in one location, and it's and you don't sort of realize that the script is so tight, and the portrayals, you know, Damon and Affleck and Stephen Yeun, and like well, basically everyone in it, like it's quite a claustrophobic, dialogue driven story, really, of what's happening, and it's so compelling that you don't notice that it's actually that it's mainly taking place in, you know, one quite claustrophobic sort of the house and then the street out front, you know, and there was that unsettlingly quiet street as well. That was very much like from a Western, wasn't it? You know, like there's no where is everyone sort of thing, you know, from the start. They were like, and then that just makes you think, no, this isn't right. Like this is going to go, is going to go like, where the hell is everybody? There's like no people, and you know what's going on and why. And actually, like I said, that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck condensed an awful lot into these performances, at the same time as kind of making you wonder, well, hang on, what's he doing, and why is that? Who's he, you know, who's he talking to? What is, you know, is he on the level? About both of them, you know, like
exactly,
sort of thinking like, what the hell is this about? And like wondering, and then this overshadowing it is like this. Well, their captain was literally shot a day before. You know, I think, or not long before, like a couple of days before, and it's like, well, that's really stark, and it's also really upset kind of how they're working and what they're doing, you know. And also it's a bit like, well, they were supposed to be finishing, and he's just sort of dragged everyone out to this weird job, and everyone's like, you know, why this is all so weird and against procedure and stuff. And like I said, the cleverness in this film to me was that it had almost like a lot of Cold War spy catcher elements to it, of that you're really trying to work out, well, who do we really understand, who do we really know is on the level, what does on the level mean, you know, what exactly is the right, what's the right thing, and who's doing it and why, and you have no clue. And you know, I'm a big fan of like these John le Carré, George Smiley, you know, like trying to find the bad apple, and all you've really got is kind of like poker, basically. It's almost like a psychological kind of, you know, sort of game of chess, isn't it? And that's what was going on in this.
Absolutely. And I think eventually you realise that, you know, Matt Damon's character is kind of playing for time, isn't he? You know, because usually, you know, it would have been like 100K or 200K or something like that, and they'd have pretty much counted that pretty quickly and left. You know, he insists that no, we've got to stay, you know, as we normally do. We've got to stay and count the money before we move it, sort of thing. And he knows it's going to take time, and it's going to make other people nervous. You know? So it's just a case of seeing who sweats first as it goes on. So yeah, very, very well done.
And everyone at some point or another was making you think, well, hang on, are they are they dodgy? Like, you know, and like no one seemed to sort of really be saying what they were thinking, like all the way through. You know, you sort of felt like no one is really saying what they're actually thinking, apart from Stephen Yeun, actually, who's like the one person who seemed to be saying like, well, you know, this and this. You know, and without, you can't sort of talk about any of this without you know, because it really was a fantastic film for keeping you sweating. You know, in fact, that's something about when the action sequence, like when it does kick off, you're still like, well, this doesn't resolve anything. Like I've still got questions here.
Because it's not until they're in the sort of the armored vehicle, isn't it? When he finally explains what's going on. No, very good. Directed by Joe Carnahan, as I mentioned. He he's done loads of films. My favourite being The A-Team, funny enough. But he also did a really good one, which I think also went to Amazon Prime a couple of years ago, called Cop Shop with Gerard Butler. That is really good as well.
What's that about?
It's about a young black policewoman in this sort of small town outside of Las Vegas, and basically a guy comes in, he punches somebody. Well, he punches a cop so he can be arrested because he's being chased by a hitman. So
Okay.
he figures getting inside a police cell will save him. But then Jared Butler, who's the hitman, also gets arrested and put in the same thing. And it becomes like a siege within the police station. It's really, really good. Definitely worth checking out.
Cop Shop. Yeah, I just had a look on IMDb about Kano, and I saw that pop up. So I think I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I can't believe. I mean, they're both A-list actors for a reason. They're extremely good. I mean, and say that Stephen Yeun is more than dependable. He's extremely talented. I feel very. I don't actually know the two female officers who really had quite kind of important, but not really. I mean, they were in almost incidental roles.
Yeah, they're in the background, but yeah.
Sasha. No, that was the. There we are, Catalina Sandino, and Sandino Marino, was it? And her colleague. Again, I'm actually checking the credits here, so I get their names right. And I want to be able to say it on this. You're gonna have to edit this bit, Mike, otherwise it's going to sound very, very slow.
Teyana Taylor was the other one. Yeah.
Who I feel I've seen her in stuff before, and she's like I said, both of them were, more than dependable. Smaller roles than like Affleck, Damon, and Yeun, but like they were there, and they were critical all the way through.
And you feel they belonged there, they're not.
They weren't just
tough as nails.
It was just the job they had to do in the time that they were there was just like, well, this is what you're doing at this moment, and it's like actually, they were pivotal. But like I couldn't believe how impressed I was with everyone. I just feel like that they were better. Like Damon and Affleck were better in that than anything that I've seen them in up until now. Like I really, I thought I was gripped from the start by their portrayals, actually. So yeah, more than a good watch. It was just, for me, it's like, well, actually, no. I mean, I want to see more.
Yeah, just to finish up, then, Will, what would you score The Rip?
I'd give it a 9 because my feelings on tens.
Yeah, we discussed tens before.
Yeah, because it was just that good, and I think it was some really hard work by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck going into these, especially like their confrontational exchanges and the direction. I mean, it's one of them where I was sort of racking my brains thinking, wait on a second, what's the score like? Because normally I like to focus on that. I can't remember it, which means it was doing its job perfectly.
Yeah.
It looked visually, it was really compelling. It was because it was dark. It was, like I said, it was quite claustrophobic. That location was, and there was a lot of interior in the armored truck and stuff. But the directing, it never felt laboured. It was just, it produced the feelings and responses in you that it needed to. And it was really more about focusing on the actors and the acting, and it just did that so well. I just think it was. There's nothing I could really say, that didn't hang together, that was overdone, that was ropey, because it wasn't. It was just slick from start to finish.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I'm gonna drop it 1, so I'm giving it an 8, but it is very compelling, as you say. It is certainly one of the better things that's on Netflix at the moment.
Wow, an 8. That's harsh. What dragged it down, Mike?
I don't know. I probably need to give it another look.
Something obviously is nagging at you, thinking it's not quite come together perfectly.
I don't know. I very rarely give anything a 9. I mean, one of my favourite films recently was Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox, and even that I could only give it an 8. And even, it's one of the best things I've seen this year. So
Oh, I should check that out. Was that what's that on? Is that on a platform or do I...
No, it's one of the ones we covered. Yeah, we covered it last episode, so it's on our spreadsheet.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
So that's quite a handful of a name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wasn't expecting much because of the name, but you know, but it's great. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Okay, again, I'm going to edit some of that down. But there you have it, an 8 and a 9 for The Rip on Netflix. Go. Our DTV throwback this week is Battle Drone. A highly skilled team of mercenaries is tasked to deliver a weapons shipment for the CIA from a warehouse in Chernobyl. Things take a deadly turn when they are ambushed by a team of Things take a deadly turn when they are ambushed by a team of human-controlled combat droids. I've seen this like 3 times now, this film. First time I watched it, I really enjoyed it. Second time I watched it with my wife, and I started noticing sort of how much it dragged at certain places. But I came back on board with it today, when I sort of caught up with it today. I think it is a bit weird, narratively, to have these indestructible battle droids versus a team of mercenaries who may as well be indestructible. So, you know, there's after a while, it's like, well, what are the stakes here? At the end of the day, you know, these battle droids can't kill these guys. You know, they kill all the ones they're not meant to kill, but you know, these guys pretty much Teflon. And even you know, it's almost as if they're from a bloody Fast and Furious movie. You know, even when you think they're dead, they sort of pop up, going, "Ta-da, still alive." So yeah, what do you make of this one, Amanda?
It was all right. I had a good time. The characters were all very cliche. Plot wasn't much. Like you said, I don't know why they seemed indestructible. But I quite liked that kind of video game style action.
Yeah,
they did really well there. The cast had pretty good chemistry. And I always just really enjoy Louis Mandylor, actually. I wish he was in better things. He always just rocks up and he does a good job.
He does.
Yeah. I mean, I watched one with like, I don't know, it was like crocodiles or something in a police station, and he was easily the best thing in it, despite only being in it for 10 minutes.
Genius.
But yeah, it was all right. I had a good time.
It is. I mean, it's got very good production values for a start. You know, I think it's a mix of sort of CGI and people in a suit with the you know, the battle droid things. It did remind me a bit of the police units from a film called Code 6 with what's his name from Arrow. Yeah, yeah, that's it. So there's a bit of that. Yeah, Louis Mandylor is really good in this, as you say. You know, he's basically doing the Sylvester Stallone role in the Expendables kind of thing. We also got Oleg Taktarov in this, who was the sort of the bulky Russian guy in Predators.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he turns up in a few things now and again. But I didn't recognise anyone else on the cast apart from Michael Paré, of course.
Well, you've got Natasha Malth in there, and Dominique Swain from Face Off and various other things.
Oh, okay.
And also a guy called Dan Southworth. He's done I've seen him in a few things, including US SEALs 2. So the cast looks really good, and I was interested because it's the director. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see it. The director's a guy called Mitch Gould, who's a stunt guy.
Yep.
He directed a couple of things. He worked on a film called Hellbinders with Ray Park and Johnny Young Bosch. But this one is, I think, might be his first sort of standalone directing project. And I say, good cast. And I was wondering, what's the standard of the action in this? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, the action is really good. It's lots of shootouts. They have one guy on the team who's very good at sort of parkour and martial arts and stuff. He's more likely to try and take him down with a knife. His work was really good. Yeah, it was a very high standard all the way through. It's just that they kind of just went on forever. There needed to be. I think there need to be more resolution to the fights, because it's just like, well, this guy's this robot's indestructible and the guy isn't, but kind of is, and neither of them are really winning at all. They need to actually be able to kill these things. I think but they managed to damage them a bit, but yeah, it's a bit annoying. But yeah, no, the production value's very good. I mean, it has this whole opening sequence where they're on a different mission to capture a drug lord in Moscow at a party. That sort of thing all works really well, and then they get shipped off to this other place. Yeah, it works really well. It just needs a bit more, or a bit less, a bit less, to try and sort of fix the. Let's let people die or let the robots be destroyed.
Yeah, just kill off some characters. It's fine. It's fine if you put it down to like one guy at the end, like Predator. It's fine.
Exactly. But other than that, yeah, it's an interesting little film. Definitely worth checking out, I think. So we don't score the throwbacks, but we do recommend you check them out. You can find this one on Amazon Prime and other services like Plex if you don't have Prime. And it's definitely worth checking out. And that is the end of this week's show. So thanks, guys, for checking out these films. Redux Redux, I keep saying online as well, it is one of the best films we saw last year. Definitely needs watching. If you come across it, please do go, take our recommendations to heart and go watch that one. Otherwise, check us out on Facebook and X and Blue Sky at the DTV Digest and the Short Shots. And otherwise, thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.